Peace everyone, Unmasked here, and welcome back to Inktober Day 9. We're really grinding it out. Hopefully you all are still with me. I appreciate you coming through this journey with me. I know Inktober can be overwhelming for some people. It's certainly a little overwhelming for me, so you're not alone in that. Today's prompt is precious, and before I get too far into my story from today, let me go ahead and share the awesome drawings that you guys did for yesterday's prompt. Yesterday's prompt was stars, so there was a lot of kind of spacey takes similar to mine that I did, which is understandable. The prompt was stars, so it was relatively simplistic, almost pigeonholed for the idea. But they came out really good, so I appreciate you guys for sending those or posting those drawings over on the Facebook group. And if you want your Inktober pieces to be shared on the live streams, then join the Unmasked Facebook group. I have the link for that in the description. I also have the link for all the supplies that I'm using. So, anyways, a little bit about my day before I say hello to everybody in the chat. I am lost on the days. Okay, so I first thought that day 10, I think it's day 10, was flowering. And I was like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do like a portrait with like a lady with flowers in her hairs. And then I looked at it again and I realized that it says flowing. And I was like, oh my gosh, flowing, that has nothing to do with the flowers. And I was like, okay, I need to start over. I was like, oh, okay, I can come up with a good idea. Just something with water. And that's what I did. I woke up this morning, I started working on it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is my idea. I was sketching it in Photoshop, and I don't know, maybe around 10 a.m. I was like, okay, I'm satisfied with this. I think I'm good. That is going to be what I do for today. And then I looked at the prompt list and I realized, wait a minute, today is day 9. It has nothing to do with flowing. It's precious. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just did tomorrow's prompt today and I need to come up with today's prompt, and I hadn't even looked at the word. And I was like, oh gosh, what the heck am I gonna do? I was totally lost, and I like to get my stuff prepared a few hours before the stream. I usually do it first thing in the morning, so I have some time in between to like eat lunch, just take a breather, and relax a little bit before the live stream. And so I literally just Googled Precious, and Smeagol or Gollum showed up in the searches, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep it real simple. I'm just going to do an inking. I'm just going to use the brush today, and I'm going to use some black ink. I'm going to use some brown and some orange to get some tones, and that's what I decided to do today. Hopefully it turns out okay. I was a little unprepared, but fortunately tomorrow, I don't have anything to do tomorrow to prepare. All I have to do is turn down the music. Oh, sorry, forgot. Oh my goodness. I totally forgot to turn on the music. Sorry about that. Yeah, I have the music turned up for the screen, and yeah, I forgot to shut that down. I should have been paying more attention to the chat, but thank you for saying that, Paulo. Anyways, sorry. Yes, the music was too loud. I apologize. Hopefully you guys heard most of what I said. I was talking for a little bit, but let me quickly just say hello to the only edgy channel, Mindy, Paulo, Froilien, De Jesus, Gabor, Leslie, Bad Vibes, Gulshan Sneaks, Gihan Lily, Maria, Ian, Richmond, and I think that is everyone. Sorry again about the music. Yeah. Anyways, let's just get right into this inking. I'm going to open up my black ink. Oh, of course, I get it on my finger right away. Let me just clean my finger off. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you again for coming to the live stream. You guys keep me motivated, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start this inking process. I'm gonna start with just doing all of the black, and then I'm going to incorporate some of my colored inks in here and just do a bit of toning, create some texture, and that's gonna be it for today. I make it seem like it's gonna be like quick and easy, but it's not. It should be fun though. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will do my best to get to all of them. Can I know your name? My name is Will. Yes, that is my actual name. Yeah, a lot of people in the chat use it, but it's easier to tag me to get my attention. If you type the @ symbol and then unmask art, you'll see my name pop up there, my channel name, and you will highlight my name, and it helps me see your questions a little bit easier in the chat, because sometimes I get a tiny bit distracted. Hello from Saudi Arabia. Well, hello, Maram. I appreciate you coming to the stream. Why unmask art then? So why is my channel name Unmask Art? This is actually a conversation a question that I had at the beginning of Inktober, and I think it's a question that most likely will continue to come up all the time, no matter what. Essentially, it comes from two different things. It comes from a little bit of my history and working with my dad in the garage. He taught me how to tape off cars, and that skill has stuck with me, and I use it when I paint, and I like to tape things off. I like clean lines. You can see this in my pastel paintings as well. And then the other thing is, when I started my channel and I was coming up with my name, I kind of started my YouTube channel for therapeutic reasons, like just personal therapeutic reasons. I'm not very social. I'm really actually terrible socially, and so I think of it as unmasking myself a little bit, and that's unmasking my artwork and just being more open and challenging myself to put myself out there and be a little bit more vulnerable. And yeah, that's where my name comes from. And it's kind of evolved a little bit to include like the secrets of creating work, since I've focused more on teaching in recent years as opposed to what I intended to do when I started my channel. When I started my channel, I didn't have any intention of teaching anything, because I was so limited in my own knowledge. But as I grew as an artist and developed skills and developed techniques, I just decided to share them, kind of unmask my own techniques with everyone. So yeah, that's kind of where the name comes from, the shortened version. Hello from Ireland. Well, hello, Olivia. And you are welcome for the explanation. Hello, Sunny and Janine. Sorry, I'm really terrible with names. I like to say hello to everybody that comes into the live stream, so if I completely mess your name up, I apologize in advance. Yeah, I would probably consider myself an introvert for sure. However, there's a degree of inversion that is probably not beneficial, and I would say that that I have that, probably borderlining on social anxiety as opposed to just being an introvert. I don't really know why, to be honest with you. I guess I never really talked about it in detail or anything, but I have a really hard time starting conversations, and you know, it's really easy for me to talk when I get to talking. It's the starting talking that I always have so much trouble with, unless the person that I'm interacting with is very social. Like if I'm just sitting in a room with people that I don't really know all that well, I probably won't say anything. But if somebody comes up to me and, you know, starts a conversation, then I could just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. But I just can't do it myself. Like, I can't walk up to somebody and start a conversation. It's super hard for me to do that, and I've tried to kind of force myself into it, but it never really worked all that well. You would have never guessed that. Yeah, I've always kind of had that trouble with it, and you know, sometimes I can just not talk for like the longest time, and it irritates me. Like, I will sometimes sit there and I'll like play through different conversations and conversation ideas, but I never like work up the courage to actually to say things to people. And I think what's neurotic. I'm rather neurotic as well, and that's the kind of like personality trait that you like overthink things a lot, and I probably do that just a tremendous amount. I feel like I overthink just about everything in the world, and you know, sometimes it can be a good thing, but sometimes it feels like a curse, because I have a very active mind, where I'm thinking about 1,000 things in just about any given instant, and sometimes it drives me crazy how continuous my mind is when it comes to thinking. It can drive me crazy sometimes. I feel your pain. You do really well here on the stream. Yeah, that's something that I find rather odd about myself, is that I tend to do, or I tend to feel like I do rather well on the live streams, and I'm not sure what it is. I think perhaps it's the fact that there's actually nobody here. Like, I'm just sitting in a room by myself, and maybe it's the fact that I don't actually have eyes physically on me, and that you guys are in some cases thousands upon thousands of miles away from me, and I'm just sitting here drawing by myself, but I get to just read your guys' comments and questions and stuff and respond to them, and I can relax. I can relax when doing the live stream, somewhat ironically. I mean, it did get some taking used to. I wasn't so good at live streaming when I first started, because it is a skill that does take a little bit of effort to get good at, talking and carrying on what feels like a more natural conversation without actually having somebody physically there to talk to. It's the same when you start looking at a camera to record videos and you have to like read lines that you wrote, or you have to say something that you want to say, and it takes a little time to feel natural doing it. And the same advice will come from anybody that does such thing, and you just have to keep doing it. You'll get better at it as you continue to do it. And I think that holds true with live streaming as well. Oh, hello, Shiny. I'm glad you're able to get logged in and everything. That kind of devices can always be frustrating. I notoriously have trouble with my devices and whatnot. Does anyone actually know who I am? The only edgy channel. I don't know your name. I don't know your actual name, no. You're just like me personality-wise? Well, I am sorry. I am sorry to hear that. I have a very sarcastic personality as well, which makes it sometimes difficult to make friends. That's another thing that I don't think comes across on my channel. At least I don't know if it has ever come across to anybody during a live stream or a video or anything like that. But I do have a rather sarcastic tone, and the problem is the problem is not that I am sarcastic a lot. It's that the sound of my voice masks the sarcasm, and even to this day, my wife can't determine whether or not I'm being serious or not. And sometimes I upset her joking, but she doesn't know that I'm joking, because the way my voice sounds, it doesn't translate as a sarcasm very well, because I guess I don't know, the sound of my voice always tends to be believable and serious, regardless of how sarcastic I'm being. And yeah, I don't have a filter on my sarcasm. I often say that sarcasm is my first language and English is my second. And so I actually don't have a problem being sarcastic with people I just met. And I have a tendency to do it when people say really dumb stuff. I have a tendency to make people feel really dumb, which I don't purposely try to do. I truly don't. But one of my best friends that I met in the military, he actually told me that when he when he first met me, he absolutely hated me. He thought I was just mean and horrible or whatnot, and he did not like me at all. And it wasn't until, you know, a few months of working with me, because we ended up working together in the military for a couple years, and it took him some time to realize that it was just my personality, my sarcasm, and my dry humor, I guess. Maybe that's a way to describe it. That made him not like me in the beginning, but then once he realized that I was just kind of joking, and that the other thing that I do a lot is that I will correct people. If they say something incorrect, if they're like, oh yeah, you know, blue and red make green, and I'll be like, no, actually it makes purple. And I have like this compulsion that, you know, when somebody says something factually incorrect, I don't even care if I know them or if I've never had a conversation with them. I will just correct them because it drives me crazy. I could be standing at a bus stop and I could hear somebody next to me having a conversation on the phone with whoever, and I wouldn't even know them. But if they said something ridiculous that was also wrong, I'd probably turn to them and be like, actually, it's, you know, X, Y, and Z, not A, B, C. And and I have a tendency to do that. I don't know if I do it too much anymore. I'm not. I don't socialize as much. You know, I only get out like a couple times a week usually to go play Magic with my friends. But yeah, usually those kind of circumstances don't come up as much anymore, because, you know, more than half of the conversations that I hear are in a language I don't quite speak yet. So I can't really go around correcting people in Poland until I learn Polish. So I guess that kind of cuts that part of my personality off a little bit. So I have that benefit. So if you have that problem with your personality, just move to another country where you don't speak the language, and you'll stop correcting people real quick. I offend people sometimes, especially if they have no sense of humor, like they take things literally. Yeah, that's usually, I would say that's probably what happens with me a bit, you know. I say things sarcastically, and then people take them as what I literally mean. But yeah, I can't do anything other than to say I was being sarcastic in the moment. That's a great way to make a conversation. I can assure you, Brenda, it is not. It is a great way to make people not like you without even knowing you. That's if the first thing you do to somebody is correct them, they're not going to thank you. They're going to not like you. So it's definitely the last thing you want to do to start a conversation. Nobody was like, how did you meet? Oh, well, I was standing there minding my own business, having a conversation with somebody, and this random person came up to me and corrected me on something, and yeah, we just hit it off from there. No, doesn't happen. I can assure you of that. Yeah, I think I've had the problem for too long to not know the effects of it. The drawing is fabulous already. Well, thank you for that. It's still got a long way to go, so hopefully I can keep you impressed. This brush that I'm using here, by the way, is like 1,000,000 years old, and it's super cheap. And the funny thing is, I'm actually able to get relatively thin lines. Like, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but there's like one strand of hair hanging off the brush that I can see, and if I just touch that small hair to the paper, I can get a nice thin line. And then, so even though this brush is like ridiculously cheap and low quality, I can still get really nice lines just because of my hand control. I loved yesterday's video and the end result of the night sky. The transition of gray, turquoise, blue, and purple made it look like the aurora borealis across the sky. Well, thank you, Sonny. I'm glad that you liked yesterday's piece. I'll show everybody here in a second. If you happen to miss yesterday's stream, this is yesterday's drawing. That was a fun one to do. I enjoyed that. I always like to do like the space scene kind of things. They are deceptively easy, in my opinion. Do you have a friend since you were in middle school? No. Middle school. Middle school. Okay, well, I mean, kind of, yeah. No, I'm trying to think of, yeah, it would have been 7th grade, maybe, or actually, no, it would have been, yeah, I definitely have a friend that I've been friends with since middle school. See, it's hard, it's harder to describe because you have like the friends that you were like really good friends with that you basically never talk to, but you still want to like hold on to the memories of your friendship and all the fun times that you had, so you still refer to them as friends, and I would say that there's probably a few of those that exist, but I honestly probably haven't spoken to them in a long time. I have a friend, Cody, that I've actually been friends with since 4th grade, and we kind of keep in touch. When I go and visit the United States, I can expect to see him. You know, we'll probably meet up to say hi and, you know, have a conversation or something like that. And then there's my best friend Travis. I've known him for so long I don't even know how long. I feel like I've known him like my whole life basically, and yeah, we had probably like so much ridiculous amounts of fun together in our time together, and he's 4 or 5 years older. He's like 4 years older than me, and gosh, we used to just stay up all night playing Diablo 2 together. We used to, oh my gosh, we played so much Diablo 2. It's ridiculous. It is unhealthy. one of us should have died from DVT. Seriously, we would sit there just like 2 days straight. If I wasn't there to play, then he was there playing on 2 computers, and same thing if he wasn't there to play and I was playing, it was nonstop. It was like Diablo 2, maybe we rode BMX together for many years, eat Subway, Diablo 2, watch Props Road Fools. Oh my gosh, and then when the GameCube came out, we played FIFA Soccer to death. We used to play indoor soccer together. For a couple years, we did that together. He was big into soccer. He's much bigger into soccer than I am. And yeah, it was just, yeah, he's still my best friend. Every time I go to the United States, I always look forward to seeing him. And I've known him for so long. He's got two sons, and a wife. So he's usually busy with his kids. He coaches their soccer team and all of that. So he's usually pretty busy. Of course, he works full time as well. But he was more than a friend growing up. He was a mentor as well, because he was older than me by like 4 years. So by the time I got to high school, he was graduating or graduated. And so I kind of used him as a mentor as well. I would say that I got a lot of my work ethic from him, because he was always hardworking, and he's still hardworking. So he's always been a good role model and a friend. So yeah, that's somebody that I know for sure since middle school. Yeah, when I was in middle school, actually, you know what? I haven't talked about my vegan lifestyle this year on Inktober. But since we've kind of got onto the topic of me in middle school, let me just discuss some health things with you, I guess, because I am passionate about being healthy and taking care of yourself, and I would say 88% of taking care of yourself is what you put inside of your mouth. And so when I was in middle school, I was actually really overweight. Not super overweight or anything, but I was unhealthy. I was at an unhealthy weight. I was probably about 15 or 20 pounds overweight. And I'm not a big guy. I don't know how big I look in videos and stuff, but I'm only like 5'10", 5'11", or something like that. I'm not quite sure what that is in centimeters. I think it's like around 170, like 174-ish centimeters, I think, if I remember correctly. So I'm not a big person. I'm not tall, and I was probably around 5'8" or something around in 7th, 8th grade. And I drank a lot of sorry, I need protection from the ink just in case it goes through. I drank a lot of soda when I was younger, like just way too much. And it definitely helped contribute to my weight problem when I was younger. And when I was in the 8th grade, I was taken out of like regular science class and put into the applied advanced science biology, and we had to do a book report, not a book report, but a science report on some kind of topic. And I don't know why, I can't remember why I decided it, but I wanted to do a report on soda. And I don't know what exactly I read about it or why I did the report on it, but I was intrigued for some odd reason at the time. And what I found is that these big companies, these big soda companies, Pepsi, Coca-Cola and stuff, is they have these factories in like third world countries, and what they do is they drill down really deep into the ground and they steal all the water, because the thing about soda is that it's mostly just water. It's sugar and water essentially. And what these big companies do to save money is they set up these factories in foreign countries, so they can, you know, pay next to nothing to their employees. And then what they do in order to supply the factory with ample amounts of water is that they have to drill down super deep to the very source of the water. And they steal all this water from all the neighboring like communities and villages and everything in the country that they set up, that they set up in. And so it leaves hundreds of thousands of people without water, just so that people can drink soda. And when I found this out, like I said, I was in the 8th grade. When I found this out, I just found it completely appalling. And I was like, are you kidding me? That has got to be the worst idea in the world. And so after I did that after I did that science report, I stopped drinking soda. And I have not one time, not a single time since I was 13 years old, drank soda. Not one time. I did not buy any soda. I did not drink any soda that was free, given to me by anybody. I literally stopped 100%, cold turkey. Like, the day that I found this information out when I was doing the report was the day that I said I wasn't going to do it. And from that day, so 16 years, it's been 16 years since I did that report in the 8th grade, and I have not touched soda since then. And 2 months after I made this discovery and decided to give it up, I lost 20 pounds. I went from 192 to about 170 in just 2 months. I didn't change anything about my life other than I just stopped drinking soda. And I would say that's probably the journey, the very beginning of my health journey. That's where it all started. So if I fast forward a few years, nothing else about my diet ever changed. After that point, I just, I continued to eat the way that I ate, which in comparison to most people, I ate rather healthy. I didn't do a whole lot of fast food. Most of the food that I enjoyed eating was the food that I cooked myself. I learned to cook early on when I was still young. Spent a lot of time by myself at home, so learning to operate the oven was a necessary skill to learn very soon. Frying things on the stove and creating meals out of very minimal supplies. That's something that I learned very early on, and fortunately my dad was always a good cook, and I just kind of followed his example, and so I would generally eat what is considered healthy for the standard American diet, You know, I didn't eat a lot of like fried foods or anything like that. It was more, you know, fried in a skillet maybe, but not a whole lot of like deep fried stuff, and certainly not a lot of fast food. And then came 2009. Yeah, it was 2009. I met a friend in the military, and he was vegetarian, and I had heard of vegetarianism. You know, I didn't ever look into it. I didn't know anything about it, but I asked him why. I was like, why are you still not drinking soda? Right, I'm still not drinking soda. Like I said, since I was 13, haven't done it one time. Yeah, understanding myself answered your question there. Yeah, been 13 years. 16 years. Yeah, 16 years since I was 13. Anyways, so I asked him, I was like, why are you vegetarian? And he didn't give me an answer. He said, look it up. And so I was intrigued. You know, he gave me a challenge. And I decided to just research, like, why would anybody want to be vegetarian and whatnot. And I found the information fascinating, and it just set me on a journey to figure out why you would want to do this. And essentially what it came down to was that I discovered the vegan diet. So I looked into vegetarianism, and consequently, for that reason, I came across the word and the lifestyle of veganism. And I promise you that when I came across the word vegan for the first time, I had no idea what it meant, and I had never heard it consciously. I could never remember ever hearing that word in my entire life. And at this point, I was 19 or 20. 2009? So I was 20. So, yeah, because I'm turning 30 and I've been vegan for 10 years. So I just continued to look into like reasons to be vegan and the health benefits. I never looked at the vegan lifestyle as like, oh, I'm gonna save the planet and save all the animals and stuff. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Saving the animals has absolutely no bearing on the fact that I'm vegan, because if for some odd reason, which it won't happen, if tomorrow it was discovered that eating, this, and this is absolutely the pinnacle of human diet, then that's what I would eat. And if that included an animal, that's what I would do. Because that's what that's what I was interested in. I was interested in maximizing the highest quality diet for humans. And every single scientific, unbiased, that's very important, every single unbiased study confirms that animal products are not only unnecessary for human consumption, but they are also to the detriment, meaning if you eat animal products, you are harming yourself because of the harm that it causes. And that harm might not happen right away, as many of you probably are well aware of, but it does happen. And there is no escaping it. Eventually it will catch up. And the other The other absolutely crazy, just pure craziness. One of the craziest facts, the absolute most insane fact that I've ever come across when it comes to the human diet is, or not necessarily the human diet, but like the statistics of diet and the influence of it, is that 1/3, okay, there's a little over 300 million people in the United States. I know this doesn't apply to everybody because many of you are not living in the United States, but 1/3 of the population in the United States will die from coronary artery disease, which literally just means that you have plaque buildup in your arteries and it will cause heart attack, stroke, or cancer. 1/3. Just let that number sink in right there. 1/3 of 300 million, a little over 300 million, right? That's a crazy amount of people, right? Like, that's a whole bunch of people. 1/3, right, will die from a disease, coronary artery disease. Okay? Let that number sink in for a second, and then I'm going to tell you the fact that just totally blows my mind. It's completely avoidable. That's the fact. The fact, okay, so it's not that 1/3 will die from it. That's just statistics. The fact is that it's completely reversible. That's the crazy part. And it all has to do with what we eat. It's not one of those facts that's up for debate. It's a scientific fact. It's provable. It's clinically been proven multiple times, and it is clinically in practice to cure people of a disease that nobody should have in the first place. That's like over 100 million people that will leave this earth simply because of the food they put in their mouth. And that's it. It's the number one reason people pass away is because of what they put in their mouth. For me, it's crazy. For me personally, like I was just telling you at the beginning of the live stream that I have this compulsion to correct people, that I have like kind of an abrasive personality because I do that. I tend to correct people, and when they make a mistake or something like along those lines. But one of the things that I can never avoid is this is like not understanding how one can come across such information like that and not change. See, when I come across like information like that, I just change. It's like, okay, well, that information there is not going anywhere. That is a fact. That is an absolute fact. And it's not going to change just because you want it to. And so for that reason, it's in your best interest. It's just in your best interest to change. So when I came across the information about, drinking soda or whatever, I was actually not concerned regarding health. But fortunately, you know, I have the benefit of not drinking it on my side, since it is extremely unhealthy. But I stopped drinking soda because, you know, it seemed like a really cruel thing to do. And I was like, well, I don't want to support that cruelty, that unnecessary cruelty. So now I just drink water and tea, for the most part. I'm always just drinking water, 99% of the time. And I, you know, I benefited from that by not putting that poison in my body anymore. But then when I came across the facts of like a healthy diet, and not just a healthy diet, because, you know, there's a lot of arguments that can be made about a healthy diet, but there is only one diet that is scientifically uncounterable, I guess would be the way that I would describe it, in terms of quality. There's only one diet that is at the pinnacle, and it's a plant-based diet. Period. And the other thing, of course, is unprocessed. Whole food. That's the anybody can be vegan and literally only eat Doritos, Oreos, and drink Mountain Dew, and you can be vegan, because all those things are vegan. But a whole food plant-based diet is a bit better defined as to what is the most optimal human diet, without argument. There is no argument that holds any scientific weight that can undo that fact that a whole food plant-based diet is by far the most beneficial human diet. Sorry, I know that I was talking about that for a long time. Hopefully you guys didn't tune me out too much. When you get me talking, I swear, when you get me talking about health and diet, like, I could just go on and on and on and on and on, because it is something that I am genuinely passionate about, which is, you know, one reason I maintain that diet, and I have maintained that diet for 10 years without fault. Just like it has literally been 16 years since I drank soda. It has literally been 10 years since I've eaten any animal products whatsoever. And I continue to hold myself to a extremely high standard when it comes to my dietary health. I continuously try to improve and incorporate focusing whole foods into my diet. Because I mean, one other concern if for my fellow artists out there is that, you know, we have a very sedative lifestyle. We have a very sedative lifestyle with the kind of work that we do, you know, and that can cause death. That can cause death if you're not eating right, and you weaken your artery walls and throughout your body by ingesting animal products. You know, maybe one day you're just sitting down, you know, enjoying working on a painting, and then before you know it, there's a pain in your leg, excruciating pain, and it just explodes, and then you learn that you know, you had a deep vein thrombosis in your femoral artery, and the clot broke off and went directly to your heart, and then your heart explodes. Yeah. That's one thing that I'm not looking forward to worrying about, which is why I take care of myself. It's not worth it. I'm sorry, that it's just not worth it to me. And there will never be an argument that is able to convince me that it is. Having real cheese on my pizza is not worth sitting here and my heart exploding. You know, maybe it doesn't happen for 40 years. You know, maybe it doesn't happen, you know, until I'm 55. But I can assure you that when I turn 55, I intend that to be only half of my life. 55 will not be old for me. When I turn 55, that will be half my life. If I don't live to 110, I'll be disappointed in my choices. Oh goodness. Like I said, I told you, I can just talk. I'm sorry. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to bring up, which is why I was talking about being an artist and, you know, sitting for a long time. Usually I'm standing, but I wanted to sit for like each week of Inktober, and then I'll probably put my desk back up and have a standing desk again, which is what I usually have. But I set it down for the first week of Inktober because I was standing the whole week before. So I keep putting my desk up and down so I'm not sitting all the time. Yep, Bella Rose Arts. That yeah, that sounds about right. The other thing is like, I think like 80% or something ridiculous, 75% of all the wheat that is grown for animal consumption, for livestock animal consumption, not human consumption. And so instead of, you know, feeding humans, we're just feeding livestock animals. Yeah, I could go all day with the facts that I've collected over the years of, you know, I've had plenty of conversations with my family members about diet and stuff like that, and yeah, I've always tried to maintain relatively good knowledge base of the new facts that come out and all the statistics and things like that. But it all boils down to the fact that like all of this stuff is already known, and essentially it's just reconfirming the same facts over and over again, and it's just gotten it's almost gotten old because it's just so repetitive. And then you have these fad dieters that come out, and all they do is regurgitate the same fad diets that's been going on for the last 150 years. The same fad diets. Like the new one was this what was the new one? I forget what it's called. The paleo diet. Oh my gosh. The paleo diet. Every time I would see some clown on YouTube making a video about the paleo diet, swear. The paleo diet's been around for literally 100 years. And it's the same thing. You have the Atkins diet, the paleo diet, the caveman diet. I mean, they just regurgitate the same nonsense again and again, and they just give it a new name. They just give it a little facelift, a new name, repackage it, and try to make extremely unethical claims and false claims about the benefits of it. And they just trick people into buying their supplements and their books and their nonsense. And yeah, it's a sad industry. Diet industry is extremely sad industry. It's all tricks. The worst part is that they convince honest people of this stuff. Oh, the keto diet, that's what it is. Gosh darn it, I couldn't remember that one. Yeah, the keto diet, that one's been around for 100 years as well. They use the keto diet back in the early 20s, I think it was the 20s, because it was helpful to people. Ketosis was helpful to people with schizophrenia, so they would prescribe them a keto diet because it helped with the symptoms of being schizophrenic. That's another extremely unhealthy diet because it's so hard on the kidneys. It makes your blood acidic. Ketogenesis makes your blood acidic, and it's super dangerous. It's like how can I grow cancer as fast as possible? Oh, I know. I'll just make my blood into acid. That's what ketogenesis does to your blood. It's like instant acid. If you want to kill your heart as fast as possible, the ketogenic diet is also a really good idea. You know, if you're trying to have a heart attack as early as possible, ketogenic diet. Also, ED. There's a real issue with ED for men, like at the age of 40, which is just, it's comical. It is literally comical. That's the first sign that you're on the verge of a heart attack. If you need the pink pill to help you out, then I think it's pink. Ironically pink. Yeah. Like I said, I could talk about this all day long. If you guys want to change the subject, feel free to ask me another question. I'm telling you, I could do this all day. I could do this all day. Yeah, I don't make my claims lightly. I like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years. It's basically just become a hobby at this point. But you know, I take it seriously. I do. I really do take it seriously. Yeah, I probably make that rather obvious. At least I hope I make it rather obvious. I told you I'm passionate about it. I wasn't kidding. I was not kidding. I really do take this stuff seriously. If there's any chance that I influence even one more person to reconsider their dietary lifestyle, then, you know, I have to take this stuff seriously. The difference, see, there's a huge difference between when I talk about this kind of stuff and when other people talk about like their their fancy new fad diets and try to influence people, and then they, you know, point them over to their website to buy like, you know, their health powder, their superfood powder drink and vitamin complexes. There's a huge difference between them and me, and the fact is that I'm passionate about this without a single intention of ever making a dime off of it. Whereas other people, you know, they get into the health stuff and they make money. I'm not making no money off of this stuff. I would never. I think it's immoral to make money off of the detriment of people's choices without truly trying to help them. People like that are disgusting. Worst people on the planet Earth are those people right there. Yeah, there's so much. Oh, there's so much research on food, and the worst part is that it's so hard to trust any source. That's the worst part. Is it's hard. It's actually hard to find like sources that are reasonable. And there's always a source that's reasonable, and then there's another source that claims they're unreasonable. So it's a tough thing to have a conversation about, because there's a whole lot of opinions. There's a ton of opinions. Yeah. There's a ton of studies that come out all the time, you know, saying different things, making different claims. Protein powder is not necessary. So you're asking if protein powder is bad for you. The truth is, protein powder is a complete and utter sham. It is a complete waste of money, because unless you are an absolute extreme athlete that specifically focuses on building muscle, like super heavyweight weightlifting champions, excess protein is completely unnecessary, and it just gets passed through your urinary tract, and it's a complete waste of money. But beyond that, in excess, it can be bad for your kidneys. To continuously process that unnecessary protein, it can be bad for your kidneys over time, and it can cause kidney stones. But it's the real fact of the matter is that it's just a complete sham. It's utter nonsense. The whole protein like fiasco, and what's the word I'm looking for, like not necessarily protein craze, but just this constant obsession about protein it all stems from like 100 years ago, again, because they found protein. The reason protein is such a big deal is because it was like the first nutrient, the first macronutrient that they found, and they literally just commercialized the mess out of it. Because as soon as they found it, and they were like, oh, this has to be the most important thing in the human diet, right? And so they just advertised it to death, and they've been advertising it for death for 100 years. For 100 years. And the truth is that protein is so easy to get. Protein is so easy to get that you literally have to be starving to death. You have to be starving to death in order to be protein deficiency. That is how easy it is to get protein. Because I get that question a lot. I get that question way too much. When somebody that I know, or somebody that I'm talking to, they find out that I'm vegan and they ask me, well, where do you get your protein? I always have to take a deep breath when somebody asks me that. It's like, if you want to have a conversation about health, but you don't know where you get protein, then your credibility is literally zero. Protein is a joke. If you want to know what a real nutrient is, what is actually important, B12. B12 is probably one of the most important, and the truth is a lot of people are B12 deficient because our bodies can't make B12. We have to ingest it, and really the best way is fortified foods, fortified B12 foods. But it has B12 is extremely important when it comes to neurological function. It's literally your brain's vitamin, and it's exceptionally important. And meanwhile, like a third of people are B12 deficient, regardless of their diet. Mostly, actually, the most B12 deficient people are people that eat animal products, ironically, because it's often said that you have a greater chance of being B12 deficient if you're on a vegan diet, because meat has B12 in it as a byproduct, because the cows eat dirt, and dirt is made from a bacteria, and so that B12 gets passed on, but it doesn't help you. Doesn't help the meat eaters, because they're actually more likely to be B12 deficient than vegans. What brush do I use with ink? So this one is a liner brush. This is a number 0 line brush, and I can't even read the name. It's so cheap. It's the bristles aren't even straight. Everything's just super cheap. Okay, this is a line brush, and this is a round brush, number 4. Number 4 round brush, number 0 line brush. Yeah, that's what I used. Oh goodness, let's move on to a color now. I think I got this good. Ugh. Oh yeah, where's Nugget? Here, let me throw in Nugget really quick. I'm just gonna grab my brush. I'm gonna just put Nugget in the background here. There's a little Nugget in the back. Alright, I'm gonna clean this brush out a little bit. I gotta mix up a bit of ink here. I'm mixing up a bit of brown and orange. Need some tissue to dry my brush off. You know, honestly, hopefully I didn't bore you guys to death with my ranting. I told you you get me started talking about this stuff, and I I will go on forever. I love talking about it, and I don't talk about it enough in my daily life. So when you guys, I don't even know how we got here. We literally got here from the fact that I was asked about friends from middle school. So yeah, these streams, they can just go way out to left field. And yeah, I really enjoy talking about this stuff, as you can probably tell. So yeah, I don't mind at all. Hopefully you guys don't mind. Alright, I'm going to use a bit of this brown now to bring in a bit of color. I'm not sure if this is dark enough. Maybe it's dark enough. In other words, not everyone's deficiency is down to not eating nutrients. I need monthly injections for life. Yeah, that's true. You know, that's absolutely true. There is some unfortunate, genetic reasons that people can't properly absorb certain nutrients, and yeah, that is certainly an unfortunate part of life for many people. Yeah, there's no argument against that. That is for sure. I would never argue against something that cannot be controlled. Oh, hello, Elise. And I want to also make something very clear here. Even though I have this degree of passion regarding this particular subject and whatnot, I don't judge anybody for their choices. Like, I'm not gonna hold it against you if you're like, well, I'm gonna keep eating my T-bone steaks and pork chops, regardless, and you know, you're free to do that. I just hope that hope that nothing bad happens to you as a result, and I don't wish that upon anybody either. I would never wish that upon anybody. I just hope that my passion influences without pressure. That's all I would really want. I would want people to just make the choice themselves, because that's a choice that you're most likely to stick to. You know, if somebody would force you into doing something, like changing your diet or lifestyle, you're most likely not going to be sticking to that for very long. Whereas, you know, nobody forced me to make the choices that I made regarding my diet and lifestyle, and that's probably why I've been easily consistent with it for a whole decade. Oh, hey, Cece, what's up? Oh goodness, yeah, Debbie. I'm glad to hear you say that. Yeah, pork is. Oh goodness, pork. I don't even. That escapes me. I don't know why anybody would eat that. It's so gross. It's so gross. Lifestyle changes happen when they are ready. It's all good. Oh, hello, Miriam. I want to join in on Inktober, but I got no ideas. Just copy other ideas. You know, if you see somebody doing something, you're like, oh, I like that idea. You know, just go for that idea. Nothing wrong with that. No harm in that. You don't have to have, you know, I haven't had the most brilliant ideas this year with my Inktober pieces, so you have nothing to fear. Got nothing to fear. Just jump in with both feet and go for it. Just try to be consistent, and that's all. Yeah, you don't have to worry about nothing. I want to create kind of a scratchy pattern. I don't think it's going to work, whatever. I'll just do it with a brush. Kind of crosshatch. Hello, Sophia. Could I tell you more about my ink? Well, to be honest with you, there's not really anything going on with the ink. I mean, you'll be able to find out more about it by reading about it. If you want, to be honest with you, I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot about it. It's just acrylic ink, and the exact ink that I'm using I have linked in the description. So it's a $1 Rowney acrylic ink primary color set. So Google is going to know a lot more than I do, because to be honest with you, I'm not really all that well versed in what properties it has and all of that. So yeah, you're gonna have better luck there than for me to try to explain anything in detail about it. I mean, it essentially, for me, it just acts like watercolors. From my experience so far, it's basically just felt like using watercolors. Is my wife vegan? Yes, she is. I probably wouldn't date somebody that was not vegan, simply because that when it comes to eating together and having a meal together, it's so hard to have like really different dietary differences. Like, for instance, if she was vegetarian, that would be relatively easy, but eating meals together is such a big part of like dating and being together. You know, if you go out on a date, you can't just go to any restaurant, because one person's either going to love it or the other person's not going to have anything to eat. And I probably wouldn't date somebody for that reason. It doesn't really have anything to do with ethics. It's just that if I have the choice from the beginning to not date somebody that has that dietary restriction or dietary difference, lifestyle difference, because that's really what it kind of boils down to, then I would probably choose not to date that person. Not to say that obviously there's plenty of successful relationships, and I'm sure that you guys have them, where you have stark differences in the food that you eat, the food that you like to eat. But you know, when it specifically comes to something as extreme as, you know, just somebody that eats whatever they want in comparison to somebody that eats very strictly as a vegan, you're probably going to have some hard times in the kitchen and in the restaurant choices. You know, like if you order a pizza, you can't really order one pizza, and so it just complicates things unnecessarily. Fortunately, she is vegan, but she does not have the same. There's one difference. She does not feel the same way as I do about soda. She does not drink soda. Maybe twice a year, to be honest with you. Very, very seldom does she drink soda, but I don't drink it at all. And she kind of plays around with the idea. Sometimes she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a Coke," and I'm just like, "No, you're not." So I've prevented her quite a bit from drinking soda, but it's not serious. She gets them when I'm not paying. So if she gets it for free, then I'm like, you know what, whatever, drink it. It's a couple times a year, so I don't hold that against her. I never would. It's just not healthy. When my wife came across my YouTube channel, she was already vegetarian, and when she learned that I was vegan, she became vegan. So yeah, I helped, even without knowing her yet. She became vegan as a result. She was already moving in that direction, but as a result of me being vegan. So it was kind of cool to be that extra bit of influence even before we started dating. And I think that I've influenced a few people on my channel to make that leap, to make that change in their lifestyle. Probably because, you know, I do maintain a degree of passion for it, and anytime that the topic comes up, and I don't hide the fact that I'm vegan, and, you know. Same. Everyone I know thinks I'm crazy for hating soda. I've only ever drank water. I tried Coca-Cola once, but it was nasty. After I had quit drinking soda, I think it was like maybe 6 years, 7 years or something like that after I had finished, and I had never drank it again. I went golfing with a friend, and he came out with like the styrofoam cup with drinks, and you know, it didn't occur to me what he got me to drink. I didn't ask. I just assumed it was water because, you know, it was just a styrofoam cup, so I just thought it was water. It ended up being Mountain Dew, and I took a drink of it. Like I put it into my mouth, and it literally burnt me. Like, it felt like I had put battery acid or something in my mouth. It burnt me, and I had to spit it out because it burned so bad. Yeah, it was that was the closest to a slip up when since not drinking soda that I ever had. That never happened more than once. That one time was the only time that particular incident ever occurred. But since that incident, it has never once occurred. I never accidentally had any of it ever again, because I didn't forget the pain. It was rather painful. I think this is Smeagol. He looks rather happy. I think this scene is when he is playing the game with Bilbo Baggins in the cave, when Bilbo has his ring, and he's playing the riddle game with Bilbo. I think that's what this scene is here. I should have done more bluish. I think I should have done more blue color. I don't know, I like the tan. I think the tan works. Still looks relatively good. I had wrote down to draw the actual ring. Oh, yeah, I actually considered that as well, but I ran out of time a little bit because yeah, you missed the beginning part of the stream, but I was totally mixed up on my days. I thought today was the day 10 prompt, so all morning I spent working on flowing, which is tomorrow's prompt, and then when I was getting ready to like set up for the live stream and all of that, I looked at the prompt list and I was like, wait a minute, whatever happened to Precious? I don't remember doing Precious. And then I was like, wait, what day is it? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's day 9, not day 10. I was totally lost there, and yeah, so I had to do something a little bit short notice and just decided to do Smeagol / Gollum. just gonna go a bit lighter now. So now I'm gonna go with a lighter color. Yeah, that is one thing. I am ahead now a little bit, so. Just mixing up some ink here. I'm gonna do one lighter color. That's not light enough, actually. I need to go even lighter than what I created here. Just need a bunch of water and just like the tiniest amount of actual ink. I want the shade to be an obvious difference. That's what I need here. Oh, I forgot to clean out my brush. That's probably why it looked so dark. I've been watching you for a while, glad to be able to catch a live stream. Well, I am also glad that you were able to catch a live stream as well, Melissa. Alright, I think that should be light enough. Just gonna add a few lighter areas. Enhancing a bit of the depth. This is really watery. I don't have the same control as I do when the ink is watered down a lot less control, because it just wants to kind of spread out all over the place. Got a little nugget in the background. Didn't forget about little nugget. I will just cartoonize my two young dogs and cats sitting together. Oh, that sounds cute. That sounds like a good plan for Precious. I'd probably draw my pet if I had a pet. I don't have any pets though. I need to move into a real house before I get a pet. Before I even strongly consider getting a pet. I don't want a dog though. I want a pet that like is not as common. I want a less common pet. Alrighty then, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with little Smeagol slash Gollum here. Kind of came up on me quick. I wasn't really looking where I was going there for a second, but I think it came out all right. I mean, I'm not the best ink person or ink artist with the brushes and the colored inks and stuff like that. I haven't had much luck with them this year, but I did what I could. So hopefully you guys like it. Get a slug. Actually, slugs are really tough to take care of because they have to stay wet. Banana slugs look really cool. They're like ginormous, but I'd feel real bad keeping them inside. I think slugs do better outside. There's some pets. There's some pets that you know, I think they suffer indoors. You know, some you can make a good habitat for indoors, and I think they can live out their life relatively happy. But yeah. Anyways, that is going to be it for today's stream. I hope you guys liked the stream. I know I talked a lot about like health and nutrition and being vegan and stuff like that. Hopefully it didn't tire you guys out too much, and you still enjoyed the stream. I feel like I got pretty excited there, and generally I think I'm known for more of the calmer, peaceful streams, so hopefully I still held true to that. And yeah, remember to join the Unmasked Art Facebook group if you haven't already. You can share your Inktober pieces in the group on the thread specifically that says share your Inktober pieces. I've noticed a large influx of new members. I just encourage you all to read the rules before posting some stuff, just to make sure that you're not breaking the rules. Family rules are important, so just keep that in mind. And tomorrow's prompt is flowing. I have that right now, and I have the stream scheduled out, so you can click the notification for that. And then if you enjoyed today's live stream, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so that I know I'm doing something right. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Peace.